Chad, han nämnde ju att hans fru Julie är vår nästa gäst och vi ska mycket riktigt ta och lämna över till henne nu. Hon kommer prata om diversity hiring och möjligheterna med att anställa talanger med diagnoser och fysiska handikapp. En målgrupp som oförtjänt ofta väljs bort på grund av just fördomar. Hon kommer även att beröra psykisk ohälsa, något som hon själv har erfarenhet av. So I'd like to welcome Julie Sowash, and she is the Executive Director of Disability Solutions, who help companies become more inclusive in their hiring. So, warm welcome, Julie.
Hello. Hey, I'm so excited to be here with you all on Unbiased Day 2021. Thanks to the TNG team and the Ada Digital team for not just inviting me, but including people with disabilities in this conversation around bias and the value of diversity. We are so often left out that when I was asked to join this session, I just couldn't say no. And thank you guys for that. And, Lucas, he told you about what I do, right? I have an amazing podcast that I love. I have a job that I could not be more blessed or happy to be able to do what I love every single day and to help change the world for people with disabilities. And I'm a person with a disability. I have lived with mental illness for most of my adult life, probably since my late teens, early 20s, and was properly diagnosed and found stability probably right around the age of 30, if not just a little bit past. So for a little bit more than 10 years, I've really been able to manage my disability and grow my career and grow my family and get to be in front of you guys today talking about what I love and about my community. And I get to work with the most amazing companies in the world. Companies like PepsiCo, Frito-Lay, Synchrony Financial, Centerpoint Energy, just to name a few. And know that those amazing companies have hired more than 3,000 people with disabilities into jobs, into careers, some now passing that 5-year anniversary. And another number that I want you to remember is 0%. Not hard. Got it? Remember, 0%. We'll come back to it in a little bit. And we're going to talk today about what happens when the company does the unexpected, right? What happens when a company creates those opportunities and creates those systems like Pepsi, like Frito? But what I'm more interested in talking about is what happens when you do the unexpected, when you take that chance and you take that opportunity to change the world for a person with a disability. And when I'm in meetings or just in general, people ask, Julie, why don't people with disabilities work? What's the rub? What's the big barrier? Why is this the case? And I can tell you all of the processes and brand and talent and all of the pieces that go into building a program that takes so many of those barriers away. But we have to start higher. We have to start at a different place. And at the most fundamental level, the biggest barrier to employment is ableism. Ableism is a belief and a bias of the superiority of the able body and the able mind. It's a world that's built for the exception, not for the rule. And that's the result, right? Behaviors and systemic dehumanization of the largest diversity group in the world. The devaluing of a human life because of ableism. And more simply put, ableism is the yeah but. And look, we all have biases. I have biases. Every person that's listening to this conversation right now has biases. And those biases, they sit right back here, right at the back of your neck. And they become the yeah buts in the conversation. People with disabilities can be successful at my company, but I don't think that they could do my job. I think people with disabilities could be great at this role, but we don't really have the capacity right now to train our managers. A person with a disability can be successful in, right, you name it. And this isn't just about people with disabilities. The yeah, but exists for people of color, for women, for people who are LGBTQ. And when you get that little tingle in your neck, right, that little moment when you say, yeah, but, that's your bias. And in this case, that's your ableism. And I want you to recognize, as we're talking for the next 10, 12 minutes, when that tingle comes, when that yeah, but happens, when I'm telling you stories about people with disabilities, when I'm talking to you about some of those opportunities. I want you to recognize it, acknowledge that it's there, and then we can start thinking about how do we get rid of that yeah, but. There are millions of people in Europe. In fact, about 20% of Europeans live with a disability. And we're not just people with disabilities, right? Life happens at the intersections. Impact, yeah, buts, and biases happen at the intersections. Because I'm a woman with a disability, but about 25% of people of color have a disability. And women are more likely to suffer from mental illness than men, especially women who have careers. And by the time we're age 50 or older, about 1 in 2 women is living with a disability. We're also LGBTQ. About 1 in 3 LGBTQ individuals is also a person with a disability. In fact, sexual orientation breaks down along the same lines as gender identification, as able bodies. So we are living in the intersections. We are here in everyday life and in every part of your community. And on campus, we're seeing that play out even more, especially in the United States, where 25% of freshmen in 2019 sought mental health services on campus. And about 7 out of 10 disabilities on campus are hidden disabilities like mine. But what we know is that even though people with disabilities on campus are getting the same degree, getting the same experiences, they are graduating without jobs, right? Degree, did the work, got the education, and about 70% of them are leaving university without a job. And as different as we are from a demographic perspective, we're also incredibly diverse in our disabilities, right? And another piece of our bias when we're thinking about people with disabilities is what we're used to, what we've experienced, what we've seen on TV, what we've been taught by the people around us. But people with disabilities are not just your experiences. We're as diverse in our disability types, our skill sets, our education, and our experience as we are in our demographics. Programs like PEPSI Act, which is Achieving Change Together, right? is opening the door, is creating opportunity for people with disabilities to get into an organization, right? It's looking at how do we remove systemic ableism? How do we remove those processes, policies, assessments, and requirements that create a barrier to a person with a disability from ever even seeing a hiring manager, right? And when we do that, and we remove those barriers, we get stories like Tammy's, right? Tammy, mom of 3, really strong single parent who had an accident. She also suffered from mental health issues following her accident and had a really hard time getting back to work. And those systems were booting her out, right? Because she had a gap, because she had some time where she was unemployed, and systems were deciding that Tammy didn't have value, that she didn't have what it took to be successful at PEPSI. And when we removed those barriers and we opened that door, Tammy became one of the most successful salespeople for PepsiCo. She joined the President's Club, which is like the top 10% of all salespeople in a quarter, in her second quarter at Pepsi. She got a visit from our Secretary of Labor and her senator, and she got a job, right? She got a career that she could create that life for her daughters that she wanted, that they deserved. And all she needed, it wasn't an accommodation, it wasn't charity, it wasn't pity, it was opportunity. And I want you to think about employment not being about charity. Never hire someone based on charity. Hire them and provide opportunity for them to show you and demonstrate that that gap in work history doesn't matter, that that mental illness is going to provide extra value and tenacity that you won't see if you don't provide the opportunity. And then there's helping people who make decisions about hiring, whether that's sourcers, recruiters, talent acquisition professionals, or just your everyday hiring manager, to see the value of a person past their disability. And when Synchrony Financial trained their managers on how to interview people with disabilities, on how to ask different questions, on how to follow up or embrace a little silence while people are processing the questions that they were being asked, they found Julie. Julie, who has a master's degree, who had been a nanny for the prior 10 years, because every time, as she tells it, she rolled into an interview, the hiring manager made a decision that she wasn't going to fit there. And it was all because of her chair. Julie's been at Synchrony for about 3 years. She's been an awarded employee. She's done a fantastic job, and she's gotten back into the corporate life that she missed, that she wanted to be a part of, because a company helped remove some of those barriers to employment. They provided the education and the system to get rid of the yeah but that had been holding Julie back for so long from finding a place where she could have a career, but also that was holding Synchrony back from finding this amazing talent. And so many other companies missed out on Julie. And there's the other yeah but, right? We can do every job. There is no job on the planet that a person with a disability cannot do. You find the right talent for the right job and make that hire. And that hire is Julie. That hire is Tammy, right? And again, just going back to changing our perceptions. About 30% of people with disabilities also identify as professionals. They're people like me, right? And I am, again, so blessed to have had leaders in my life and people in my life who didn't accept the stigma, who didn't have fear around my mental illness, and they didn't stigmatize me or my disability. And they provided that opportunity. They provided that extra coaching when I need it because they saw the value, not just in what I bring to the table, right? Not just a cog in the wheel. I am a human who just needed that little extra bit of faith, that little extra bit of push, right? To get stable, to be everything that I hoped for. And it's really because of an employer that you get to hear my story today, because they said mental health is not a stigma. It's not a reason not to hire talent with disabilities. And we know that's a huge issue still. In fact, in 2017, a UK magazine did a survey of several thousand HR professionals, and they positively identified that they would rather hire a person in a wheelchair, rather hire a person with a physical disability than hire people with the most common and manageable mental illnesses like depression and anxiety. That's how much fear and that's how much stigma is still associated with mental illness in this country or in this world. We are not a risk. We are an asset. And I can tell you, I would never give back. I would never change my disability. I'm happy it's stable, but if it wasn't there, I wouldn't think and I wouldn't process and I wouldn't innovate in the way that I have that's allowed me and my team to create these amazing opportunities to change the world, to get people to work, to be able to have these conversations and have this platform. It wouldn't exist. And this is the one thing I just really want you to hang on to, right? We know that COVID caused a lot of mental health issues around the world. Suicide is up, mental health issues are up, depression, anxiety, that lack of control, that lack of ability to be a part of your world. And in fact, we know that about 20% of working age adults, so let's say 30 or 16 to 64, before the COVID, before the pandemic, experienced mental health disabilities, right? Some of them are episodic. They happen once, they resolve themselves. Some are chronic, like mine, that I'll live with for the rest of my life. So let's get to the point, right? So you know who we are, you know that we're an asset, that we have value, that we can do every job. But what do I want you to take away from this conversation? And it's going to be 3 things, right? I need you to be an ally. We need more soldiers. We need more people on the ground in TA, in human resources, in management, who are willing to come to the table with us, willing to identify who they are as people with disabilities and start to remove those fears and those stigmas and create opportunity, right? Because what you think matters. It matters. That ableism, that yeah, but, right? That's what I want you to get rid of. Because ally, it's a verb. And we have to start by getting rid of that. No more yeah, buts, right? There is a way. And I want you to understand that it's so easy to get caught up in what we do, clicking buttons, creating automations, reviewing resumes, all of those things. But you have to remember, you are so important to changing someone's life, to providing that opportunity, to providing that stability. What you do matters. And I cannot say it enough. Every time I get in front of an audience that has control of hiring someone, what you do matters. Don't get lost in the clicks and the processes. build to be more human, build to create opportunity, because what you do changes lives. And more than you'll ever know, times that you will never understand or hear about, you save lives when you provide that opportunity. And there are people that I've lost in my life, very, very important people, who didn't have that same person, who didn't have that leader or that hiring manager or that talent acquisition professional who gave them that opportunity, who gave them that push, who gave them the extra coaching. And I've lost those people. And what I want you to understand is that I can be the rule, whereas right now I'm the exception. If we get rid of that, yeah, but if we take action, if we understand that the people in this room, the people at this conference, the people that you interact with every single day, change minds and save lives with what you do. And we're going to come back now to that 0%. And that 0% is a flat number. It's a guaranteed number. There is no company in the world, in this room or any other, that cannot successfully hire people with disabilities, retain them, and create the culture that they want to. But they have to get rid of the yeah, but. Everything else can be built. Everything else can be corrected and changed. If we get rid of that, we can get to a world where 0% of companies in the world don't have incredible talent with disabilities. And do the unexpected. And the unexpected can start with you, and it can start today. And I thank you for your time, and I look forward to connecting with you all and enjoying the rest of this amazing Unbiased day.